Hello musicians, my name is Bucky Dirtle and I am doing a video tutorial today on VCV Rack. And Rack is a DAW modular synthesis application. It's very cool. It's very cool. It's open source and it's amazing. In the previous tutorial, I've gone over things like modular synthesis, the user interface, plugins, the mixer, patching, the VCO, things like that. You can check out the other tutorials to find out all kinds of cool things. Today, in this tutorial, I'm going to go over your first setup. Okay, how to get your first setup so that you're ready to start making some sound. I'm also going to go over how to get output in multiple speakers versus mono, versus one speaker. And we're going to go through some of the details of the audio interface module. Okay, so let's get started. The very first thing, we're going to do our very first setup. Now this is very exciting because we're doing our very first setup. This is going to make some sound for us. So we learned in a previous tutorial, that if I right click here on the screen, on the gray, I'm given all of these options of plugins to use. Now, what we're going to do today, we're going to need three different modules. We are going to need three modules. The first one we're going to need is under Core, and that is an audio interface. Now, what the audio interface is going to do is going to let this software, Rack, talk to your computer sound card or your audio interface, whatever it is you're using as a sound interface. So we're going to need this guy. And so that's the first thing. I'll put it to the right here. Now, the next thing, we're going to right click again. And we're also going to need, under Fundamental, Fundamental has a lot of great utilities that are very straightforward in what they do, but they're very useful. We're going to need a mixer. Going to need something that controls the volume level of the sound, because we need that. We're always going to need that. So VC Mixer is a good one to use. So I'm going to click on VC Mixer. Now in another episode, another tutorial, I showed how to actually use VC Mixer and what it was, what all the inputs were and outputs and all that kind of stuff. So you can check that tutorial out. Now, so we have a mixer that controls the levels of the sound. And we have our audio interface here that lets our software here talk to our speakers, talk to our sound card. We're going to need a sound source. So what we're going to be using is a VCO, an oscillator, a voltage control oscillator. This one run number 1. Now this is under Core. Oh, sorry, Fundamental. It's under Fundamental. And it's VCO 1. Now you can use VCO 2, but we're going to use VCO 1 today. Okay, so we'll click on that one. And here it is. This is our oscillator. I'm going to zoom in a little bit now so we can get a little closer to our instrument. Now, so this is our sound source. Sound is going to, let's think about this like a garden hose. Sound is going to come out of here. It's going to go into our mixer. Our mixer is going to control the flow of it. It's going to go into here, into our sound, our audio controller, our audio interface, and that's going to go out to our sound card, out to our computer speakers, headphones, whatever you're using. Okay, so let's just wire this up and see how it goes. Now, the VCO. VCO it makes sound. We have 4 different options here for making sound. Sine wave, triangle wave, saw wave, square wave. So let's just start with the sine wave. Let's start there. Okay, so now I clicked on the sine wave and it gives me a patch cable. Now where I'm going to go with this patch cable, I have to do something over here on my mixer because the sound has to leave my oscillator, VCO1, has to go into this guy. So we see there's an in, and in. You have channel 1, 2, and 3. In the other tutorial, we learned that there are 3 channels of audio we can use here. We can plug into these. So I'm going to go into channel 3. There you go. Now that is connected. So the sound from the sine wave is now going out through here and into here, but it's not going anywhere else. Look, I have got an out here. I have an out for channel 2, an out for channel 3, and I have an out for up here. This is the master. The master out is right here. So we have 4 different outs. This guy here at the top sends the out from all the channels combined. Each one of these just sends it out for its own specific channel individually. So we're going to go from the main. We're going to go from this one up here. Now, where are we going to go? Now, I have an audio interface that has 80 inputs myself. I don't have it hooked up here now. Today, what I'm using my computer, just my standard computer audio. So you would be able to choose your audio driver if you have some funky driver for a specific piece of hardware you have, and your audio device you can choose. Now, right now, this one here is what I have to use for this demonstration. If I use something else, it wouldn't work. And I don't have my audio interface connected up for Pro Tools. So I'm just going to use this guy right here. So I collect that. Sample rate stays here at 44. And we're going to go over this a little bit later as well. Block size. I like to have mine at around 1024. But we're going to go over that a little later anyway. So don't mind that for now. I just want to get through the patching now, and then we'll go back over this in a few minutes. I'm going to come out of here. This is going to be out of my VC mixer. Actually, I'm going to click my cables and make it a yellow because I want to keep it consistent. See this? So it's yellow. It's going to go right across. Make it nice and clear for you guys. I'm going to go into here, into 1. Now, I'm using standard computer, so it's only got left and right, 2 channels. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are not working. But these are outputs, okay, because it's outputting to my speakers, not inputs. That'll be like a microphones. So if I'm not hearing anything. So I don't have my volume turned up, so I'll turn my volume up. There you go. Now I'm hearing my sine wave. But I'm only hearing it in the left speaker because number 1 is left. Number 2 is right. How am I going to get number 2? Well, this is actually quite easy. I just take number 2 and plug it into there as well. Now I have both. Now I'm not sure if you're listening to this in stereo or just in one speaker, like in mono, but now both are working. So let's review what we did here. I'm going to do this again. I'm going to do this in other colors. So green, I went out of my sine wave and I'm going into channel 3. Actually, let me turn my volume down. Into channel 3. And then I come out of my master and I go into 1 and 2. And that is my 2 regular computer left and rights. And I turn my volume up and I get sound. Okay, nothing to it. Now let's try another one with the triangle. I'll do blue. I'll go into number 2. Turn up the volume. That's a triangle wave as compared to sine wave. Let's try saw wave. Oh, I like that. I don't like gray. Yellow. Saw wave. There you go, saw. And you can hear them all at the same time too. You can hear them together. So, and remember, if you right-click on the dial, it will go back to its default. You can also do a square wave. It gives me a different sound as well. So that's how we would connect the. That's how we have our first setup, like we talked about, and we've seen how to connect these stereo outputs as well. Now, I want to talk briefly about the audio interface we chose first. And remember, we found this audio interface at the very beginning by going to Core Audio Interface. And that will give us one. Now, we've already got one, so I don't need that guy. But audio interface. Now, let me just review again. Up at the very top, if you have a driver for your computer, I'm on an Apple computer, and this is my driver. I use the Core Audio. You may have a different sort of driver on your computer. If you're on a Linux machine, if you're on a Windows machine, you may have a different driver. Your device you use, I have a number of devices that I run. This happens to be what I'm using right now. So right here, this is the device that I would have to use for today's tutorial. I've used this device, the multi-output device, but you wouldn't necessarily have to use that one. You might use built-in audio right there. Again, I'm on an Apple, but you would probably use built-in audio output. That will probably be what you'd want if you're on an Apple. Sample rate, I stick it on 44.1. You can go higher, but some of these modules are very CPU intensive, and you may end up causing yourself some glitching and stuff if you go too high with some of these settings, sample rate, and also block size for buffering. 1024 is what I like. This has to do with lag. We're not performing here, like I'm not playing like my keyboard or anything live into this. So 1024 is fine. If you do find you're getting some glitching or you're getting some lag, here's where you want to start to try to figure out what the problem is. You can start right here by choosing different numbers to see if it improves your situation. That's what you want to do. Okay, so that's the audio interface. So just a recap to now, we went through our first setup. We put in our VCO, we put in our VC mixer, and we put in our audio interface. We've made our very first setup so we can actually make some sounds. And also, I should try this too. I am a musician, so it's nice to change some pitches. Anyway, I had to do that. So you did your very first setup. You learned that these two outputs are from left and right on your computer. And so you need to connect both to the output, the main output. And you can also connect both to any of the other outputs as well, but we're going from the main. And the last thing is we went over the details of the audio interface. So now I hope you have an understanding of the audio interface. If you were using like I have an Mbox Pro. So if you use an Mbox Pro, you'll have multiple inputs here as well. You can play with, as well as outputs. But I'm just using my computer audio right now, and I only have two outputs, left and right, and that's what these two are right here. So that's it. Now, if you have any questions or comments about anything you saw here today, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section of this post, and I'll be happy to get back to you. You can also get me in utopian.io Discord or on the PAL Discord. Steam it chats as well. Feel free to connect with me. Happy to help you out whatever way I can. Good luck with your music, and I will see you next time.